Hello and welcome to the video. Let's get ready for the new Ascendencies. The upcoming Dawn of the Hunt expansion allows all players to rediscover the game once again, thanks to the massive balance changes and tons of new content to explore. It's still too early to speculate on the new top builds, as even patch notes won't cover the full scope of endgame changes. We can, however, gauge the power of new Ascendencies, share the ideas as to what archetypes they will embody, find their best use cases, the potential to employ them in already existing builds, and maybe share some of the ideas that were not immediately obvious. Within the new update, a new endgame awaits us all. The new mapping portal system is more forgiving of occasional slip-ups, but you should still balance the offense and defense of your build properly. High amounts of damage do not necessarily mean good clear speed either. Options to improve your movement speed or area coverage are still much more restrictive and not always possible for every skill. One can be sure of the lack of balance with such an overabundance of new additions. It's just too early to say if they'll be too strong or too weak. With those qualities in mind, let's inspect the new Ascendancy options. Let's start with the brand new class option, the Huntress. Amazon offers a lot of ways to boost damage. There are 3 4-point branches, each catering to a specific gimmick to choose from. Its default weapons are spears, but like all other classes in the game, you can use any other weapon type freely. The critical strike is undoubtedly the easiest pick here, as an extra critical strike chance is always useful. The penetrate is a good early option that allows you to get a good weapon for a cheaper price, although it probably won't be that good in later stages, as currently the accuracy affixes compete with regular physical modifiers. The predatory instincts and the following notable are a great boost for the content that many players enjoy the most: fighting powerful bosses. The bonuses are not always active, but when they do activate, you will immediately feel the difference in your damage and speed. The extra movement speed is also useful for better dodge rolling. The Elemental Infusion is another great option that pairs well with many spear skills, as it is hinted that most of them interact with charges in some way. It is a simple and powerful way to improve your clear speed and damage at the same time, as long as you can reliably generate charges. This Ascendancy offers potent life recovery bonuses in the form of Elemental Life Leech and improved flasks, but does not grant any damage mitigation. However, the Stalking Panther may justify picking an unusual body armor without losing too much on the evasion rating. Such options include the Cloak of Flame for extra physical damage reduction, Pure Energy Shield body armor, or other yet unknown unique body armors. The other Ascendancy option for this class is the Ritualist, which, as the name suggests, can perform bloody rituals to gain unique boons. The Ritualist Sacrifice lets you harvest modifiers from a slain rare enemy, or from yourself. The duration of those buffs can be extended by the Persistence support. It's unpredictable, erratic, and the long animation time will quickly become annoying, so we doubt it'll be a popular pair of passives, although the concept is fun. The actual selling point of this Ascendancy is the ability to wear one additional ring, and increase the bonuses gained from rings and the amulet by 25%. It's nearly certain that all players will pick those 2 notables. Unfortunately, the remaining notables are not that great. The intricate sigils and mind phylacteries add a charm slot and let you use them more often. The upcoming unique charms might bring more value to this option, but you could achieve the same result with the Pragmatism armor. The blood boil granted by the corrupted life force is a much weaker version of the famous Gladiator's bleed explosions from the Path of Exile 1. It might be useful in the early game, but the ramp-up time is very slow. The defensive aspect of the Wildwood Persistence is simply not good. You would still need to get a decent damage reduction and source of life recovery elsewhere to make proper use of it. Overall, we can't recommend this Ascendancy for starting out. It might be good in the very late game once you acquire powerful gear, but it will suffer in the early game. The Smith of Kitava is a new choice for the warrior class, and is the opposite of the previous Ascendancies. It offers fewer offensive bonuses, and they are very unique in the playstyle you would want to specialize. The weapon tempering will probably be the default option for most warriors. It temporarily boosts your weapon by adding fiery explosions to each attack. Simple, yet effective. The Heat of the Forge is a build-defining notable that triggers fire spell once you accumulate enough energy with attack hits. It sounds like a highly experimental setup, so the results may vary. It might be good for utility spells, but the Ascendancy points are very valuable here. Lastly, you can manifest your weapon as a minion that automatically attacks nearby enemies. Similarly, depending on the scaling, it might be a build-enabling notable, or just a helpful boon to your regular setup. The lack of synergy between those notables is not a coincidence. The Smith's Masterwork is a special free notable that alters the body armor with special powerful modifiers, but each upgrade costs 1 ascendancy point, so you really don't want to waste them on other things. The amount of available ascendancy points is already limited, as you will always want to pick the Coal Stoker and Forged in Flame notables to easily reach 90% resistance to all element types. They make this ascendancy unmatched when it comes to mitigating elemental damage, and you can partially apply it to physical damage as well. You simply can't go wrong with this ascendancy. Scaling defense is usually much harder than obtaining huge amounts of damage, especially without perfect gear. LIch is undoubtedly the most exciting ascendancy in the new patch. The Eternal Life might be the strongest defensive notable in the game, surpassing even the Smith of Kitava, but is much harder to properly utilize. As long as you can retain your energy shield, your life cannot be changed, so any damage that bypasses your energy shield will be nullified. The obvious choices are items like Atziri's Disdain or the Black Doubt, which would mean over 40% damage mitigation or immunity against damage over time. Be careful, as those items might receive a substantial nerf to their potential or rarity. Another interesting unique is the Burden of Shadows, which grants you extra chaos damage and converts mana costs to life costs. Keep in mind, the Soulless form can prove to be problematic in terms of mana sustain, as the mana costs can become very high once you raise the gem levels too much. Other aspects of this ascendancy are also powerful. You and your allies can get the Unholy Might buff and scale its effect with mana, granting you tons of extra chaos damage. It is a potentially very strong combo with the Archmage and original Sin Ring. The Eldritch Empowerment is a massive boost to your spells, but probably requires some investments into faster start of recharge so you can keep using skills after receiving a hit. The price of power is decent, but generating enough power charges can be too unreliable. It will heavily depend on the new support gems and overall balance changes. The Chaos Explosions are enough to justify picking this ascendancy for most builds. At the small price of using the Blasphemy to apply curses to nearby enemies, you will massively improve your clear speed. The last passive worth looking into is the Crystalline Phylactery. It increases the mana cost of skills if you have no energy shield, but increases the effect of a non-unique basic jewel socketed there by 100%. It's incredibly strong if you have an equally strong jewel and can suit any build in the game. The start with this ascendancy might be a bit slow. You won't have access to good energy shield items or specific uniques, and the mana sustain can be concerning. If you can overcome those struggles, you will end up with an excellent ascendancy for any spellcaster. The Tactician is an interesting ascendancy. Its strength is boosting your allies and crowd controlling enemies. With the Suppressing Fire and its upgrade, you will pin enemies with any damage type, and the pin inflicted that way will also stop enemies from performing all actions, not just movement. It is an insanely powerful defensive bonus, but it also affects your DPS uptime, as you can perform various combos without worrying about dodging. However, it's weak against bosses with multiple phases that nullify the pin build-up very often. The defensive aspect is good, but heavily limited to armor and evasion hybrid. It is a very good combo for general mapping, but without a massive buff to armor effectiveness, it might still not be enough for pinnacle bossing. With a solid plan, you can use twice as many persistent buff skills. Keep in mind that not all spirit skills are persistent buff skills. Another great option is the notable that allows you to inspire your allies with extra damage based on your current weapon. The strength of this node will heavily depend on your setup and allies, varying from insane to just good. Furthermore, you can also place multiple banners, but currently only the war banner is useful. The other banners are quite insignificant, so this notable is not recommended. Another build-defining feature of this ascendancy is the Supporting Fire skill, which is a unique minion skill. Those minions won't help you passively, but you can activate the skill to send a volley of arrows at the targeted area. They are never within your presence, so you can't boost their damage with the aforementioned passive. Frankly, it doesn't seem to be on par with other minion options, so we wouldn't recommend it at the start unless you really enjoy this class fantasy. The totem passive is also doubtful. It increases the damage output of your totems, but only if you constantly fire an attack projectile. The melee totems won't benefit from this node, and the playstyle is not fitting for a typical totem build anyway. This ascendancy is a unique and experimental concept, but heavily dependent on the future balance changes and good items. The hybrid playstyles are rather unusual, but the Tactician might have everything that's needed to pull it off. Pinning enemies and sending your allies to slay them seems safe, and all you need for it is a weapon with high damage, but it's hard to recommend it for a league start. The most important factor when picking the Ascendancy is the fun you will have while playing your build. Similarly to the initial release, you can expect a lot of smaller balance changes and bug fixes in the upcoming weeks, so chasing the best builds may not be feasible. You also can't forget about the older Ascendancies. If you are mainly interested in the Spear archetype, the Huntress is not the only option. The Deadeye is still the best option for speed thanks to the Tailwind effect, while the Pathfinder or Acolyte of Chayula might be the better fits if you want to use poison. You might also be interested in other archetypes you didn't have occasion to try out before. After all, there are tons of different builds available in the game, even with yet limited number of skills and supports implemented so far. Our build guides will help you understand the purpose and inner workings of each element implemented, explain the leveling process step by step, and suggest minor changes if the build allows for any adjustments. If you enjoy this type of content, subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we often cover the hot new popular builds, as well as some niche and interesting ones you might find of interest. We encourage you to leave a like or subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and we hope you will find great success in the new expansion.